Okay, I believe this is day number 8 of Tribeca interviews. For those that you've been paying attention since the very start, you already know that obviously Tribeca itself is finished. Clearly, for anybody who's watching this today onward, you can subscribe to the Tribeca at Home Pass, and you'll be able to watch movies up until the 26th, if I'm not mistaken. So today, I have the good fortune of having the creator of a small project called Daydreamers here with me. So if you would, young lady, please introduce yourself and tell us in what capacity you worked on Daydreamers.
Well, my name is Ante Pask. I'm a 21-year-old filmmaker, but I'm still studying at the Ritz School of Arts in Belgium, in Brussels. And this is what was my third year student film. So now in my master's, my graduation year. And this film was like the graduation film for the whole year. So we have like all these different directions inside the school. You have writing, cinematography, editing, sound design.
Sure.
Directing, of course. So it was like a participation of all those subjects and directions to work together to make this film together. And it was like a really good experience because the school planned everything. So we had like 4 days to shoot the film. We had a budget for like, I think around 1,000 euros to make it.
Okay.
Of course, we had like advantages to use the school's materials and rental cars. So, but it was a really good experience, and yeah, to see how it works in real life. Something was the first time that we had like a professional set environment to make a film, but still we're with all the students together. This was really good experience.
I have to ask you because I have children ranging in age from like 29 all the way down. I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at my older children and thinking, oh my God, there's no way at 21 they'd be this excited or motivated. Taking on a film project is a huge endeavor. So that leads me to believe that you really have a passion for filmmaking. So let's start at the beginning. What made you want to pursue a career, let's say, in filmmaking? And more importantly, what advantage do you think you have as a 21-year-old that somebody, let's say, in their 50s may not have?
Yeah, well, I think the reason why I was going to study film is because of a film Home from Filmmaker. It's a Belgian filmmaker, and she was like always like a big inspiration. And when this film was being filmed, I was like 14 years old or something, and I was on the set as an extra, and that was when I was like, wow, I find it really cool to see all these people work together to create something great and magic.
Sure.
So later on, I was always every school project in high school or something, I was doing something visual or audiovisual, and that's why I thought, why wouldn't I go study it? So yeah, that's why I chose to do that. And I think it's now good for me to have like found my passion right away, because I've never double the school year or something. It's just all the way up, go to film school. And I think I'm lucky to do it right now already, because now I have like all these ideas that stand really close to me, and if I'm able to do it right away. So if I was 50 or older, or I don't know, then you look at a different perspective from your own experiences when you're 21. So now I'm going to shoot a film for my master's about people from 17 till 18 years old and how they feel in life. And I think it's good for me that I'm only 21, so it's not that long ago for me
Sure.
to tell that, and how young people are today. And I know people from that age, so it's they are my friends still. So I think that's an advantage. People find it interesting that I'm only so young, and they contact me to like, okay, cool, I have hopefully a long time to go. So I don't know, yeah.
I'd like to ask, because you are younger, so you might have a different perspective on this. Like, some of the filmmakers I've been talking to are kind of excited to some degree that streaming and at home, obviously we were all home for a few years and watching movies, and they're okay with, and in some ways embrace the idea of showing films online, versus you going to Tribeca, let's say, like you had a live audience, did you not, for your screening? So where do you stand on that? Do you prefer having your films in cinema, like actual theaters, Or are you okay with doing the online sort of thing? Because there's two different types of audiences, we believe, depending on where you're screening.
Well, I think both, because I really like the idea of cinema and how you are almost participating in a film if you sit in a cinema, and it's like a whole different experience to see it on a big screen, and you're so much more into the film than when you're sitting at home. Yeah, now I don't have a TV anymore. I just, if I watch a film, it's on my laptop, so it's really close.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe it's quite similar to dive into a film that you're now so close by to see a film or something.
Mhm.
But I think both. I like to because you reach so many more people if you put your film online or on a streaming device or something. But yeah, I hope that my films will be also screened in cinemas, because
Sure.
yeah, I think that's so huge to to connect to people and to find, I don't know, it's so different.
Now, I know that you're from Belgium, so I want to talk a little bit about that because the way things are, let's say, for instance, in New York City, because that's in the United States, right? So tell me a bit about how rich is filmmaking there in Belgium? Meaning, is there a good community of that there? Are there tons of filmmakers that are there? Are there a lot of incentives as far as for filming? And also on the other side of the fence, I don't want to forget to ask this. You've gone through a pandemic for the last 2 years and you're in another country. So how is everybody kind of rejuvenating or rebounding from that?
I don't really know exactly, because I'm not like in the professional world yet, but I think through the pandemic, film was one of the only things that could go on like quite normal, because they have like really strict restrictions, and instead of like theaters, they were all closed, but making films was still going on, not in the first few months, but it was
Right.
really quick that they could go further, and it was like all the other arts like theater or anything else, or schools, yeah, it was all closed, but filmmaking was still going on, so I think that was a good thing. And yeah, everyone was watching TV and films in the pandemic, so I think it's a good thing that they, maybe even now everyone has to wear a mask still on set.
Okay.
uh, it's nowhere else now. It's not on the public transport anymore here in Belgium, only in hospitals, and I think that's the only place, and maybe on film sets, but maybe now it's
Sure.
changing, so they're like really strict about it.
Would it be fair to say, do you think now at this point in time? I mean, some of the filmmakers I spoke to said they wrote a lot more, they created a lot more. They didn't get discouraged by having this very detrimental thing happening. So did the pandemic affect you in ways where you found it harder to be creative, or did it have any kind of emotional or physical toll on you?
Well, in the beginning, yes, because I was in my second year when it started. And it was like we were just beginning to all the practical courses and doing a lot of workshops, but then it just all stopped. They came to school and just, you have to go home now. It's a lockdown, and we're in the middle of the biggest workshop of all year. So it
Oh
was
my gosh.
very hard for us, but also a little bit relieving, because we were all so stressed out at that moment, and it was kind of a gift that we could go home and do nothing. But
Sure.
yeah, we didn't expect that it would take so long. Because of that, everything had to shuffle a bit in the planning, and we had to film everything in the summer. So it was like, it was a really hard time, and for me, even I was going to make a short film as well by myself for school, but my locations was canceled, so I couldn't film anymore, and so it was really last minute that we had to do everything. So that was like, I almost had a breakdown at at that point in the summer, but afterwards, in the third year, everything was quite normal. We could go to school, like,
Mhm.
I don't know, we had like no really lectures or something, so only practical courses, and that was, we followed the restrictions from the professional world,
Mhm.
so we could go on, so it wasn't a problem. So I think we were very lucky to do that in school.
Now, I want to ask before we start talking about Daydreamers, the film itself, because you are younger. Again, another great question. There are some directors who are still doing like 8 millimeter film or 16 millimeter. There's some who are younger, who, of course, it's much easier to use a GoPro or let's say an iPhone as far as that goes. What would you recommend to someone first starting out from a camera or technology side of things? What are you hearing or what are you utilizing that works for you or you find that's effective?
Well, I think if you the first film that you shoot or try something by yourself, you just have to find something that you're comfortable with, that you know, like now everyone has an iPhone or a small camera, and you can just try everything at home even. And I don't know, I haven't worked with like on film. I didn't make a film on film, so 8mm or 35.
Sure.
Um, but I like to try that sometimes because it's really fascinating because it's a
Right.
whole different kind of working, because you have like only a small amount of film. So yeah, because it's very expensive, of course. And I think it will be a great experience to do that.
I
Move on
gotcha.
to better equipment or something, or find someone who has better equipment that you can work with.
I gotcha.
And learn it as well. So.
Now, did the school provide you equipment as far as when you were shooting this particular film? What did they give you to use?
We filmed on a Sunny. I don't know exactly what kind, but
Okay.
we have like all the equipment from the school. So
Oh, nice.
we have like a basic package from for film material, like lights and
Right.
also audio equipment. So that was all from the school. And if we like needed something else, they could rent it from the school or
Right.
somewhere else. So yeah, that was really good that we didn't have to rent everything by yourself.
Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah.
It's expensive. It can be very difficult. And then plus, depending on how much you need, etc. In your case, of course, you had a small crew, obviously, because there's only so many main characters. How many different locations did you utilize? I was trying to count and I forgot, to be honest.
I think only 2, but yeah, we filmed at almost everything inside the house, in one house and outside.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it was a really, really small house. So it was, yeah, I think we were like with 15 people on sets. So it was, yeah, because it was such a small house, everything was standing like this and like, oh, okay.
Sure.
And then the only other location, only 2, one in the streets and one at a bus stop. And it
Okay.
was only other 2 locations that we used. So, but everything else was in the same house, interior and exterior.
Oh, nice. Now, I saw that there could be 2 potential complications here, meaning when you're working with children on one side of the fence, and of course, one of the main things about your film is a motorcycle. So you're dealing with a mechanical piece of equipment, and then you have a small mind that's over here. And I mean that in the most loving way. So let's start with a child. You're the 4th creator I've spoken to that's cast a child or had a child involved in their production. So what I want to ask you about is I've talked to them a bit about actually working with them, getting them on camera, how to, induce them or entice them, etc. But what I want to ask you is when you decided that you wanted to work with a child, I noticed that the bond between the main character and her was quite strong and extremely emotional. I mean, she actually almost brought out more emotion than he did. So did she practice that ahead of time or what was the prep involved with that?
Actually, no. I think they just met on set. Yeah, because it was really. I think I was one of the first to shoot my film, because it was a strict planning and everyone was had 4 days and everyone was going after each other. So I think I was the second one or something. So it was, he didn't have really much time to prepare and to let the actors meet each other. So I
Mhm.
think, or maybe the day before or something, but it wasn't, they didn't create a bond before we start shooting. Yeah, we were very lucky that they both had like instant, like a good connection. But
That is
it
so
was
neat.
her first real film, or maybe she did something before, but it was her first film that came out in cinema also. So she didn't have like many experience.
Plus you had to get her on obviously we see her sitting on a motorcycle with him, of course. And so, like I said, sometimes working with a motorcycle can be challenging because for one, people don't know this, but it's heavy. Like depending on the model that you're on, that thing's heavy. You got to really be able to hold it even when you're not physically riding it. So there's that component, so there's obstacles there. Somebody can get hurt, etc. So I like to ask this question because there's filmmakers that watch these interviews. So how do you set something like that up, not only for safety purposes, but how do you get a small child comfortable on this? And how long did it take to shoot? Like in particular, especially that one at the very end there, obviously.
I think that was just a scene in a garage, so it was
Right.
still, it was the motorcycle we didn't actually use it at any time. It was always standing
Right.
still, or on I say it, picture
Just,
vehicle. You had it behind a car was driving, but it was on. Yeah, I don't know, how do you say it?
you mean like a car tow or
Yeah, something like that. He wasn't
okay,
really driving,
sure.
so we didn't, because that was a requirement for school, that we have to rent that extra because
Okay,
he couldn't drive a motorcycle, so
sure.
so we had to, in the first place, we were thinking, okay, how can we do this as cheap as possible, but of course you have to rent something professional, so everything is saved. So that scenes are, there was someone to guide us through the scene when he was driving alone. But
Okay,
in the garage, when they're both on the motorcycle, yeah, we kind of just filmed it. But
I get it.
he could stand on the ground,
Oh,
so he.
sure. And he was behind her. So of course it's
Right.
not like she was sitting there by herself, etc. So I was like, yeah, I was just interested as far as that goes. If somebody asked me what I thought the premise of Daydreamers was, I would say that it is a beautiful story between a father and a daughter who are bonded by both passion and love, and sadly, the loss of something significant. And in this particular case, of course, I don't want to give away too much, but clearly he's struggling with something very serious that can affect his ability to be able to perform the passion he loves so much. So they have to kind of find a way around that. So when I watch this, and that's as a film reviewer as well as just an audience member, I could really feel the anguish and frustration, probably anguish more so on part of the lead character. So when you first spoke to him about the storyline, how much liberty did you give him to improv, to create his own emotions and feelings, or was that all kind of driven simply by storyline?
I'm really open to some improv in some certain lines or something.
Sure.
But I was, that was like the first time I worked with a professional actor, because he's like really good actor in Belgium.
Right.
So I thought I should take advantages of that, because I felt like, okay,
Sure.
how do you think about this scene, and what do you feel? And then I think by talking about it, we create something together and found the best way to perform. I had something in mind, of course, to how it would look and how he should
Right.
act. So I think we both worked to what I had in mind, and I think it came beautiful out of it. So
So your lead, as you mentioned, he's a professional actor. So when he came into this, I also noticed, and maybe it's just an observation because as a reviewer, you kind of pick apart the movie for reasons, like when you're going to do a review. One of the things that I noticed in each particular scene, he kind of starts off almost in disbelief, it seems. And then as things progress along, it's like one sign after another sign after another sign. So again, when he read the story, was that his interpretation of it? Was that it was almost like a disbelief that eventually leads to the eventual, obviously, you have to look in the mirror and say, okay, this is what it is.
yeah, it is a story about acceptance, and I think that was one of the main paths that this character goes through. So I think you interrupted that, right? Interpreted.
Interpretation.
Yeah.
I got it.
So, and the first time he read the script, he was like immediately in love with it. So I think it's something universal, something, because everyone at one point in their life, they have to, not like what happens in a film, but
Right.
come to accept something that is hard. And I think that makes it, that everyone connects with it or something.
Now, I understand that this was an international premiere at Tribeca. I saw that. And of course, you were very, very, very fortunate to win the Student Visionary Award, which I was so pleased about. Very well deserving, by the way. To those of you that haven't seen it yet, this is her first film as well. So, as she mentioned, that's another thing. So, tell me a bit about the time at Tribeca, as far as most people don't get a chance to attend. So, tell them what's so special about being at Tribeca. And more importantly, why was it so important for you to go there? You know, not every filmmaker gets there, not everybody submits there. So why Tribeca?
Well, I knew it before, but from before. I just, at school we learn a little bit about what are the big festivals, and
Okay.
they don't really promote submitting anything or something. So I did it by myself. I
Hmm.
was just okay, why not? I try, because if you're like you made a film and you try to submit it to some festivals, I started in some festivals in Belgium and I got selected and I was like, okay, maybe I can go a little bit
Sure.
here and just try. And I was like, okay, maybe I should try Tribeca. I don't know. I was like, okay, let's do something crazy. And I wasn't even expecting that they would call me and say, "Hi, you're selected." With I was like, "What?" I almost cried because I was really not expecting.
Aw.
And it was like, yeah, I don't really know why I submitted it, but I was just like, yeah, why not? I can try,
Sure.
and I got lucky, or I don't know.
I wouldn't call it luck. I would definitely call it skill, dear. And of course, you were there in person. So you were at the screening, of course.
Yeah.
And so, how well did this go over? Meaning, did you get audience reaction or did you get to hear from people or press, etc., what they thought?
Well, because it was our last day in Tribeca
Mhm.
when it was a screening, the premiere of my film. So we didn't get like really much responses, but
Oh,
at the screening, it was like really great because we had a big applause and we heard like people behind us were like crying with the film. I was like,
oh,
yeah,
how
and
sweet.
laughing at the right time. So it was like a really good experience to yeah, just feel the reactions in the moment of the film when it
Sure.
was playing. So that means a lot to me. And of course there were a few people who came by and like, oh my god, congratulations, it was so beautiful film. And some people who, for example, a composer who asked to maybe work together in the future. So it
Oh,
was,
nice.
yeah, so it was a really nice experience to just especially meet some young people, because there were a lot of young people at the screening. So I think it went well. So
Oh, sure. It sure sounds like it. Anytime somebody says, I want to work with you, it's like, boom,
yeah,
there's
so
success.
I think, yeah, it was a really good experience.
How did you celebrate the win?
We went, I don't know, I didn't actually really celebrate it.
Oh my gosh, that's
I, yeah,
terrible.
but it was a little bit strange because I yeah, I didn't get like an official announcement or something.
Oh,
Because I was back in Belgium and someone I met who's from Paris, but she
mm.
was at the time at New York as well, at Tribeca. She sent me a message on Instagram and she's like, "Congratulations, you won!" And I was like, What do you mean?" But it was like 2 a.m. in the morning at that time for me, but then
Sure.
in New York it was 8 or something.
Oh,
So
how funny.
I was like, "Yeah, what do you mean win?" Yeah, you won best student award. And I was like, what? So, but it was night, so everyone was sleeping, and I was like, tried to call everyone, but no one picked up. so,
Oh my gosh.
so
You
yeah,
had,
I didn't really celebrate, but I saw my child actress Flo, who plays little child in the
yep.
film, and she gave me a bottle of champagne. So it
Oh, how
was
sweet is
really
that? Look at that.
relation. So yeah, but I had a lot of compliments and everyone sent me a message or called me, and it was really nice.
Very nice. So now
Because
the question is, what's next? What are you working on next, or what will you be working on?
now I'm filming my master film, so my graduation film in the
Okay.
summer in August, and that will be it's not the same as my bachelor film because it's we have to do it more by ourselves, so we don't
Sure.
have that much help from the school, and we have to find a crew by ourselves because not everyone is doing their master from all these different directions. So yeah, it's all up to us now. So it's quite exciting, but also yeah, a bit frightening or something
Oh,
to
sure.
yeah, that's what I'm going to do next. And it's now more about some young people from 17 till 18 who are like just graduated from high school and going on a road trip, and they land somewhere, and because their car broke down or something, and that starts a whole journey of new
Okay.
friendships, something that's a little bit closer by myself.
And as far as Daydreamers, if somebody, obviously we mentioned the at-home pass for Tribeca, do you have another screening set up somewhere else?
Well, I'm selected in a festival in Italy, but yeah, at the La Garimba festival. But yeah, it's a bit far away, of course, from America. But I think for now that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's. But I don't know. Maybe in the future.
We'll see, right?
Yeah.
There you go. I want to mention these 3 places that I found. So if you want to find this lovely young lady, again, I'll spell her name for you. It's Ante, and then the last name is spelled Pask. She's both a writer as well as a director. She can be found on IMDb. I saw you on Vimeo, and your Instagram, which is the same name. Are you on Facebook as well, or anywhere else where people can find you?
As well. Yeah.
That's
I'm
wonderful.
not on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter.
Oh, that's right. We can't forget about that. My goodness. Well, thank you so much, young lady, for spending some time with me and telling me about the film. I have to say that truly, folks, this is sensational for a first-time filmmaker, especially a student film. It's extraordinary. It touches on many, like I said, we've got anguish, frustration, the father-daughter component. It's just really fueled by both love and passion and persistence. And it's very well made. So congratulations, young lady. I'm thrilled for you. And it's super exciting for you to come out of the gate being a Tribeca winner. So congratulations. And please make sure you celebrate the win. Please. Yes.
I will
Definitely.
do. Thank you so much for the interview and for
Oh, sure.